inspired by one British peace activist. So inspiration came from Britain, your country. It was Bertrand Russell. At age 90, he was protesting against the nuclear weapons. Some of you might remember. And he was arrested in 1961. And he was fined. He refused to pay fine, so he was imprisoned for 1 week. And I was 25-year-old young man with a friend of mine called E.P. Menon. We were sitting in a cafe in Bangalore, and we read this news. And we said to each other, look, here's a man of 90 going to jail for peace in the world. What are we doing, young men, sitting here drinking coffee? We must do something. And so then and there, after a long discussion, we decided that we are going to go to Moscow, Paris, London, and Washington, D.C. The 4 nuclear capitals of the time. And so how do we go? It's easy to go by plane or car or train or something. Well, even train is not easy, but plane is easy. But I said, no, we don't want to go easy way. Let's make it difficult. Because in the West, people always want to make things easy. In India, we always say, don't make things easy, make things difficult. Because then you learn more and you become more strong. Like if you are going somewhere, if you walk, walking may take time, it may be a bit difficult, uphill, downhill, something, but it makes you stronger. If you drive all the time in the car, it may be easy, but it's not good for health. So every day I walk 1 hour, 2 hours every day to keep me fit. So I said, let's make it difficult, and we instead of going by plane, and if we go by plane, who is going to take any notice? There are thousands of people flying every day. But if you walk from India to Moscow, to Paris, to London, to Washington, that will be interesting. Human story. People will be interested. Media will be interested. Universities will be interested. Governments will be interested. Television will be interested. So we said, let's walk. And then we decided, let's make it a bit more difficult. Let's walk without any money. The whole story is in my book called No Destination. But just to tell you briefly, we decided to go on foot without money. And we started from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi in New Delhi, and we walked through Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Moscow, Belarus, Poland, Germany, Belgium, France. And then French people helped us to cross the channel. And then we came from Calais to Dover, and then we walked from Dover to London, and then in London, and from London, because at that time Bertrand Russell lived in Wales. He had retired. Lord Russell, but no longer going to the House of Lords. He retired. So we went to see him in Wales. And then Bertrand Russell said, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Menon, you walked all the way from India without money. Amazing. I cannot imagine how you did it, but you managed. But how are you going to go to America without money? You are not going to walk on water. So he was in good mood. He was 92 by that time, but he was very alert. He said, Lord Russell, we have walked from India to here without money for 2 years. We haven't touched money. And even now we don't want to touch money. But if you would be kind enough to help us with 2 tickets, that would be much appreciated. And so he said to his PA secretary, he said, go and look after them, help them. And so he helped us and some other pacifists, and they gave us 2 tickets in Queen Mary. And so we sailed across the Atlantic in Queen Mary, and we came to New York, and then we walked from New York to Washington, D.C. And we ended our journey at the grave of John F. Kennedy. So we started from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi and ended at the grave of John F. Kennedy in order to make the point and the statement that if you believe in the gun, a gun not only kills a bad person, but can also kill a Gandhi, a Kennedy. And therefore remove your faith from violence and take faith in non-violence, in peace. in disarmament. And so that was our message. And then after finishing our journey there, we met Martin Luther King, and that was a wonderful meeting. And he received us in his house, so it was wonderful. And then we were invited to go to Japan. And so we had to fly again from America to Japan, but then we walked again from Tokyo to Hiroshima. And the Japanese people helped us 2 tickets in a boat from Japan to India. So altogether, 8,000-mile journey for 2.5 years, just mostly walking, 8,000 miles walking. And I can tell you, by making it difficult, by walking and by having no money, we learned so much. If you fly, I mean, I do fly, unfortunately, you don't get real journey. But when you are walking step by step and meeting Muslim people and Christians and Jewish and Hindus and Americans and Russians and poor and rich and every kind of person you meet. So that's a wonderful journey, and then people become more interested. So we gave talks in universities and churches and mosques and schools, and we were received in the White House, we were received in the Kremlin, and we were received by Martin Luther King and Bertrand Russell. If we had gone by aeroplane, nobody takes notice. But when you are doing something, walking, that does make a difference. And so we had a wonderful journey. It's a long journey. It's a long story. We don't have time to tell all the stories, but you can read many of them in my book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were there times that you were hungry and didn't have food?
Yes. There were many times when we were hungry, and we said, this is our opportunity to fast. We did not complain. We say, if you want to do a spiritual pilgrimage, you have to avoid 3 C's. First is, don't complain. Second, don't criticize. Don't criticize that, oh, yesterday was such a good hospitality, today is such bad. That kind of criticism is not. And also compare. The third one is C, compare. So don't compare, don't criticize, don't complain. Then you are a pilgrim. That's a pilgrimage. So this was a pilgrimage for peace. And sometimes we did not get shelter to sleep. So fortunately those days were quite warm, not too cold, although we had a sleeping bag. And we slept under the stars. And we said, this is our 1,000,000-star hotel. We care for 5-star hotel. and so we had lots of difficulties. We faced bullets twice. Once in southern part of the United States of America, on racial ground. The other also in France. So we faced bullet twice. So hunger, without shelter, all those problems were there. But in comparison to 2.5 years, what we enjoyed, even the hardship was welcome, because we enjoyed the hospitality of people. 95% of the time we were looked after, and sometimes people walked with us, sometimes people looked after us everywhere. They gave us shoes. We wore 8 pairs of shoes, and they were all given to us. And different seasons, we had different clothes. In the winter time, people gave us clothes and hats and everything. So hospitality was wonderful. And because we're walking for peace, all the peace groups like Bertrand Russell and C&D and Peace News and all the peace-oriented people, they supported us and they looked after us.
Wow. Wonderful.
Was there one question this side? No. Yes.
Perhaps. I'm not quite sure how to begin, but if I begin with the question and tell you the reason why I'm asking it, which is, how do we change the system that we live in now? So I'm in my 30s and I can live as best as I can by my values that I think are important about food, nourishment and so on and so forth, much of which is inspired by books like yourself that you've read and the magazines and so on. But in many ways I feel quite trapped in that I have to leave work for work in the morning at 6:30. I don't return until 6 in the evening, so yeah. I'm away from the house for 11-12 hours a day, and in the evenings and the mornings, I'll be honest, I'm quite tired. So I have an opportunity to do my things. I will meditate or I will walk the dog and so on. and at the weekends I recover. I try and do the things that I enjoy and do that, but I don't have enough money to what I think is effect change in a bigger way. I can only change my own life. I have no control over anybody else. So I don't have the opportunity to perhaps live in the house that I'd like to live in, or back in the house. That seems to be something of a dream. So I suppose my question is, how do we go about, or how can I go about making a bigger change than I am now? I still believe my change that I'm doing is important.
Yeah.
Because I think everything's interconnected. So even if my change is so small and on a personal scale, it's still important. But the bigger changes that would allow me to.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
First of all, as you said yourself correctly, that you have to be the change that you want to see in the world, and you starting yourself and changing, but also you said working 10 hours, 12 hours a day, but being away. There you could also look into this and say, is it possible for me to find a way of working part-time, say 3 days a week or 4 days a week, so that I have a bit more time for myself? Can I learn a new skill which does not require being an employee somewhere, but I can be self-reliant and make on myself something like this weaving there, some art, some craft, some making, building, gardening, something I do which is more authentic, more real, more imaginative, more creative, more myself. So you can think about that way, so that you don't have to work so long hours and 5 days a week, 6 days a week. Also, can I find work where I live, so that I don't have to commute? Or can I live where I work? Something like that, so that I don't have, I would say no one should be required to commute to work. That's a crazy, crazy idea, wasteful of time, wasteful of fossil fuel, wasteful of energy, wasteful of space. Why people have to commute to work? People used to, when you go to Birmingham, the Cadburys and the Quakers, they built chocolate factories, and they had all the workers living in village. What was the village called? Bourneville or something. So people should live near where they work, or work near where they live, and work sensible hours and have time for themselves. So this is a kind of new system we need to create. So be the change you want to see in the world, start with yourself. Then communicate the change. All the great movements have been successful only because people were very good at communicating. Mahatma Gandhi created independence of India. Nelson Mandela brought an end to apartheid. Martin Luther King created racial segregation, an end to racial segregation as far as possible. Not completely yet, but better. So all the great movements start that you have to communicate through writing, through poetry, through music, through your work, whatever you do. This is why we communicate, through Resurgence. Speak. So communication is very important. Then third element is organize. All the great movements, successful movements, anti-apartheid, peace movement, independence movement. At the time when I was born, British Raj was so big that the sun never set under the British Empire. It was so big, and now it's nowhere. How did that British Empire came to an end? Because people organized, people took to the street, and people went to jail, people sacrificed themselves. So step by step, you build a movement. And the environmental movement is in that way being built. At the moment, there are millions of people around the world. 5 years ago in Copenhagen, and 10 or 15 years ago in Kyoto, they talked about climate change, but nobody agreed. But in Paris now, every government, apart from Trump now backing out, but Obama agreed. Every nation, 192 nations agreed that climate change is a big problem. So it's a change is happening, awareness is happening. We have been part of this movement. And the change doesn't happen like one monolithic change that, wow, we have achieved everything. Everything is perfect. It's a continuous journey, continuous evolution. Evolution of consciousness, evolution of justice, evolution of ecology, evolution of humanity. So evolution is happening and we are part of it. Just be part of the solution, the part of evolution. And live your life in such a way that you are happy, you are creative, you are imaginative, you are comfortable, you have time for yourself, you have time for your family. Whatever happens in the world, start with yourself. This is what Mahatma Gandhi's message. Be the change you want to see in the world. And then communicate it, organize it, be part of it, and then things will change. I mean, we don't know when the change will come. Nobody knew when the Berlin Wall will come down. Even the CIA did not know when the Berlin Wall came down. But movement built. Václav Havel was in prison, Sakharov was in prison, many people fought for it. In the end, there is no war. And Germany united. So things do change incrementally, step by step. We have to be part of it. And so as long as we are part of it, we are in that journey. We are on a pilgrimage. There is no time when everything will be perfect in the world. Even Jesus Christ, we bow to him in our great humility, could not establish the kingdom of God and kingdom of love on earth. Even the Buddha could not succeed to solve all the problems. Even Mahatma Gandhi, even in India, he could not solve all the problems and have non-violent order. So these things are part of a big journey. We are part of big evolution. And in that evolution of consciousness, we are growing and evolving. But there will never be a utopia when all the problems are solved. That will be boring. It's a good opportunity to have some problems. And so we can be activists and we can have hope.